What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 16. I think we're on
episode 16. That's right.
Of Zipline, the official Zipper Interactive podcast. My name is Chris Roper.
My name is Jeremy Dunham, and today we are joined by MAG assistant producer Kurt Manning.
Hi. Hey, guys. Welcome.
Any relation to Peyton Manning?
Yeah, no relation there. It's always a good story, though.
You guys look so similar.
Yeah, just like my brother, right?
Yeah. You guys are identical twins, I think. So a special episode today. It's the first Friday the 13th episode of Zipline. That's never happened before. Hopefully it will happen
again. We're hoping to make it out alive. That's correct.
It makes me a little nervous.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Friday the 13th and all that stuff, let's get to the Z-Cap.
How does Friday the 13th have anything to do with the Z-Cap?
Well, I was thinking caps, as in like top of your head and, the machete from Jason Voorhees and all. Anyway. We'll just get to the news. Why don't you kick it off?
All right.
It's a bad segue, whatever.
Roper needs help.
It's been a long week.
So, Mac fans out there already know that version 107 was released yesterday. The new patch includes a faction-neutral version of Suppression. Then that joins Sabotage, which we unveiled a few weeks ago. And Sabotage, of course, is faction-neutral in code instead of as a server update as well. And on top of that, we also have some map updates. So Yesca Terminus, that's the Valor domination map, and to Flores Basin Transfer, and that's the Raven domination map. And Flores Basin really got a lot of updates in there. And on top of that, we also have some new lighting effects in those levels. And we've also added a brand new Happy Hour double XP bonus that you'll get for the first hour that you log in. So on top of a couple bug fixes like the inverted controls whenever you parachute, and another big bug for us that we were very happy to fix were some of the freezes that were happening in the CNI map.
Yeah, and to be clear on the Happy Hour thing, that's every single day. So
yes.
The first hour of every single day that you log in, you get double experience points, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that actually a little bit later on with our Q&A.
Right. Now, speaking of 1.07, if you guys tried to get the patch basically as soon as it was supposed to go up at 1 o'clock in the morning, give or take.
Pacific time.
Yeah, Pacific Daylight Time, I guess, since we're still doing farm time. You might have noticed that it was a little bit kind of not working for a little while there. And basically what happened was this was an issue with Sony's network environment. And basically, so it was something that couldn't really be tested because this is the live deploy of the patch.
Yeah, it totally took everyone by surprise.
Yeah, and so basically it was problems of it not knowing that the update was there and giving it, and it was just kind of a confusion basically between the game and the update server and all kinds of stuff.
Long story short is that as soon as we discovered it, Sony worked all day long to see if they could correct the issue on their end. And, they really did throw all their resources at it for a long time, and they fixed it, and now everyone can get 107, so we're grateful to them, and we're also grateful to you guys for hanging in there with us. And I also think that a new record was set for how many times a-hole was used on the forums.
Yeah, basically.
But I think 80% of them came from Kurt.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. You could have just told me to my face.
In there, yeah.
I don't know why you're just...
It's one of my favorite words.
You could have just dropped by my office and used it. You didn't have to go start a bunch of threads. Today... If you're actually listening to this on Friday the 13th, as we mentioned, today we also announced the results for our Influence Mag vote. Our question was, do you want leaving a game prematurely to affect your win-loss record? You guys said no. And it was pretty much a down-the-middle race. You had thousands of people voting, 49% no. Oh, I'm sorry, 49% yes and 51% no. Take 60% of the vote for an existing rule to change. So,
for a two-question
yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't pass, so nothing will be affected. It's as if we never asked you.
Right.
So I guess this conversation isn't happening either.
Right, we'll just pretend it is there.
That's right, but our very next Influence Mag question is the biggest Influence Mag question we've had yet. It is going to directly affect a specific game mode, so look for that in a week or two.
And it is something that's been heated argument on the forum, so
yes.
You guys will all be very interested in voting on this one way or the other.
So pay attention for that one.
The last bit of news to mention for this week is that...
Hold on, Kurt, settle down. You keep interrupting us. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, please. Is that SOCOM 4 will be at Gamescom in Cologne, which runs
That's in Germany.
That's right. It runs from August 8th. Yeah, it's not... perfume for men.
Right. It's not in
Cologne, Germany.
It's not in a bottle of scented goodness.
That's right. This runs from August 18th through 22nd. We're going to have a brand new build of SOCOM 4 there. It's the same level as E3, but there's more stuff to it.
That's
so
right.
You're going to get at E3. You just kind of saw a lot of action. There's a little bit of a cinematic thing that kind of sets up what's happening, a cool little surprise before everything else kicks off, and then, of course, improvements all around. So.
Yeah, lots of improvements, and there's a brand new sequence in the level, a lot of visual updates. some sound updates.
Right.
Obviously, it's also going to be not in American English.
Right. It has the English accent, which is pretty funny. So
look for that.
Yep.
And now we turn to our guest, Kurt. I'm actually literally turning to our guest, Kurt.
He is. He's looking right at me.
right.
It's
Hi.
funny for the people that are in the room.
Yes.
It
But for the
it
rest
made me
of you,
very nervous.
just imagine Kurt looking nervous at us, leering at him.
I'm going to try to leer back as best I can.
It's not working. You look more scared than
I am
leering.
you got me cowed over here.
So, Kurt, you are a MAG assistant producer. Give us a little bit of background on your history here at Zipper. You actually recently moved to assistant producer.
That's true. Yeah.
Before that, you were a lead tester in QA for a while.
I was a QA lead on MAG with my co-lead Jay Embry, and
Zipline alumni.
That worked on that one for a long time, and then after we shipped, then I got promoted to assistant producer, and so I've been working on all the post-production stuff ever since.
How would you explain, because they're vastly different jobs, lead tester and assistant producer, how would you explain how your responsibilities have changed from day to day and what you do now as opposed to what you used to do? We already know what a lead tester did previously, thanks to Jay coming on the show a few weeks ago, but what is it that an assistant producer does versus a full-fledged producer? Or we've also had the director of production on, Alan.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There's a lot of similarities between being a lead tester and being a producer, in that you're sort of, as a lead tester, you're managing your test effort and your test department. And then when you move into a producer role, you're managing just on a bigger picture. So you're looking at making sure the whole game is coming together, and you're looking at all the different aspects of the game, the different departments, and making sure that they're all able to work together. Nobody's blocking, that one group's not blocking another. Nobody has any issues, and then just basically keeping the wheels greased and keeping everything running smooth.
But I guess a kind of cool part about the position of in production is that you get to touch every element of the making of the game: art, sound, testing, multiplayer, everything. So, yeah. What would you suggest to people who said maybe production is the kind of thing that I want to do in the game industry as a way that they would prepare for the job and kind of their entry into production if they weren't able to go through the QA route?
That's a good question. I hadn't.
We've surprised him.
I mean, I just sort of came through the QA route, and I hadn't really researched any other ways to do it. So you just sort of have to develop the right skill sets, be able to manage people, to be able to communicate well. Organizing is really important. You have to be able to organize and
do you think that it helps to have experience at least a little bit with all of the different elements? Maybe even just kind of know the basics of sound design and working with a 3D package or something, just so you kind of know what to talk to.
Or does it not matter at all?
In my case, I didn't have that exposure to all the different elements. I mean, in QA you get to see like parts of everything. I mean, because there's bugs in each element of the game. And so you're always chasing those things, and you do get some exposure. But I've never really sat in the sound room, and if you put me in there and said, until today, exactly, you put me in there and said, hey, put this together, I couldn't do it. So with that being said, in that I didn't have that exposure, I think that having some exposure to all the elements would certainly help. I mean, the more you know about how games come together, the better. The more you're able to work with people and help them get unblocked and keep things organized. So,
and a more important question, how often do you go to a metal concert and have people stop you and ask you to sign their Anthrax albums?
Yeah.
Often? Does that ever
all the
happen?
time. I just get stopped in the street. You know, like, can you sign my chest? You betcha.
If you haven't seen a picture of Kurt yet, go look at it. It's on the SOCOM and the MAG blog.
Yeah, which brings
Scott Ian
it brings us to a question from Where's Ibanez, who asks. He says you've got a Melvins T-shirt on in the blog picture for your profile, but he wants to know what your favorite grunge band and album are.
Oh, favorites are tough. There's so much good music out there, but so since he's asked specifically for grunge band and album, I'd have to go. It's tough, but I'm gonna say Soundgarden's "Bad Motorfinger."
I like this answer a lot.
Is probably one of my all-time favorite grunge albums. There's so many good songs on there.
Show me the power.
But but I wouldn't necessarily say that Soundgarden's my favorite grunge band. I mean, there are many good ones, and of course, I love the Melvins, and so so I'm being a little abstract.
It was a good time for music.
It was.
While we're on the subject, Chris, same question for you.
Oh man, it might be the same answer. That'd be top 5 at least. I'll
for both album and band.
Band changes over time for me. It's tricky, but Soundgarden would definitely be up there. But as far as album goes, Bad Motorfinger might be it.
Well, to be different, I'd have to go with Nevermind from Nirvana. It's a classic. And you also have to go with 10 from Pearl Jam, which is a great album.
Good.
And I'd say that between the two bands, though, I prefer Nirvana. So
now it's time to get to the reader Q&A. We're going to do something a little bit different this week.
Yes, it's a first and maybe a last, depending on how you guys like it.
Yeah, so we really want the feedback on if you guys kind of prefer this format or the old one. So please write to us at zipline@zipperint.com.
Which is the reason we're trying this anyway, because some people have suggested we do this instead.
Right. So we go on the forums every week, and some people are MAG fans, some people are SOCOM fans, and they just want to know the answers to those questions. And some people on there just wait for the recap. So if I just want to know what the answers to the SOCOM stuff is, I don't have a lot of time. So we're going to break the Q&A section into both games. We're going to do all of one game first and then all of the next. So you could skip ahead. So today we're going to do SOCOM first just because.
Exactly.
And so if you want to skip ahead to the MAG stuff, you can go ahead and click the fast forward button or whatever. However.
So if this is your first Zipline podcast, why? But also, it's previously before this, we'd basically leapfrog questions.
Right.
Sometimes we'd ask 201 and then go to another game, but now we're going to put them all together. Let us know if you like it.
I think one benefit of this is the guys that are on the forums, to be fair, they just want to kind of know the nitty-gritty about what's going on. Mm-hmm. That's good to know, but sometimes posting what the answer is on the forums doesn't come across quite the same way as it does the way that we're able to answer it on the show, especially for stuff that we can't talk about, maybe give a little bit of a hint to or qualify with different kind of buts or whatever else it is. So hopefully this will kind of get people to listen to it for themselves.
What he said.
Yeah. So let's start this off with the SOCOM portion and get to a question from Partner. And he wants to know that if in SOCOM 4 single player, if we'll be able to equip our teammates with weapons that we scavenge, or will they be self-equipable, a.k.a. will your teammates take care of themselves in picking up their own weapons and kind of doing that thing?
And to save Kurt, who does not work on that game, he works on MAG, I'll take this one. And the answer to that question is actually that no, you will not be able to outfit your AI buddies with their own loadouts, but that's for a very specific reason. Actually, it's for a couple. Number one, we really wanted you to focus on your own character, OpsCom, so that you went in there and you had only him to worry about in terms of weaponry, and you could kind of customize him the way
keeps
that you
in
want
the
to.
action.
Exactly. And secondly, we want your surrounding supporting characters to fit their personality type. So they're actually very specific weapon specialists. Switcher, for example, is a heavy weapons user. He wouldn't want to use anything else other than heavy weapons within the storyline. So it's all about telling that story and actually playing up the expertise of each character. And that'll make more sense as you play through the game and you see how the storyline goes and what it is exactly that each man and woman in there is supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So that's the very long explanation for no. Yeah, no.
This is exactly the kind of reason we want people to listen to it.
That's right.
Yep.
Street Marine, who I think set the record for most single posts on the SOCOM forum last week. Really? Didn't he?
It's probable.
He seemed to have more posts than anyone that I recall in modern history.
Yeah, so you don't need to try to beat your own record now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So congratulations, though, for setting that record. He wants to know if you see any advantages for players of using either the DualShock controller or the PlayStation Move in SOCOM 4. I think anybody can answer this question. We've all tried SOCOM 4 with the DualShock or the Move. But since we like cutting off Kurt, we're not going to let him answer.
I think that a lot of this is going to be player preference and kind of what you're used to. There are some people who are extremely good with the DualShock and can do stuff that you'll watch a video of something like SOCOM and you'll think these guys have got to be using keyboard and mouse so they hack the game, and no, they're just super good with DualShock, and so maybe they won't be as good with the Move, or vice versa, or it's all going to be a matter of preference.
Yeah.
The hope is, and the idea is, that they're going to be basically equal, and it'll come down to what you're used to and kind of what feels better to you.
And you can take this for what you will, but one of the little-known facts, because we haven't told anyone yet here at Zipper, is that we actually have a SOCOM 4 multiplayer world championship. And it's an internal thing that we have. We just started up about
It's a world championship, but it's only internal to Zipper.
It's only internal. But it only started, I want to say, a week or two ago. Yeah. And it comes complete with a championship belt and all that stuff. And it's actually a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And so far, everyone who's, and before I get into this, the background is if you meet the certain criteria for a match, you win the title.
Right.
And then you defend the title, and you can lose it or you keep it or whatever. Anyway, as of right now, so far, everybody who has won the World Championship has been DualShock users.
Right. There's a match going on right now, so maybe that will change.
Yeah, they're battling it out as we speak.
Yep. Yeah, so that could change. We won't know the outcome until next week because they're doing it as we record this podcast. But so far, it's been DualShock. But we've seen some very good move players as well. So I really, like Chris said, it really comes down to what your expertise is and what you prefer to play
Right,
with.
and as we kind of talked to about, I think on the J podcast, or no, the Cade one, was that basically everybody that's won so far is QA guys.
Yep.
Because that's what they play all the time. So in their case, they play games 12 hours a day with the DualShock. That's what they're used to, and that's what they're very good at. You know, somebody else who doesn't play games as often may find the move to be better. You know, basically what we were saying before, whatever you're good at already, you might still be best with, but hopefully they will both be the same in capabilities, you know, in at the end. So that's the idea. The next question comes from Kahuna305. I was thinking the Big Kahuna Burger.
All right, sorry.
He wants to know if guns will go hot in SOCOM 4 during a summer day. Being in other words, if there is an enemy near you, will your weapon pop up like it did in past SOCOMs to kind of tell you that somebody's nearby?
That's actually a pretty good question, and it's one that has an interesting answer. And basically, in single player, your teammates, your AI teammates, will react appropriately regardless if enemies are on screen or not. So they're going to get a little bit of that. In multiplayer, though, we don't have that in the plans. We did have that in past games, but the reason it's not in the plans for multiplayer this time is because it's giving you a bit of a sixth sense, right? You don't see the enemy, but all of a sudden you're getting ready
sense is tingling.
Yeah, exactly. You're not Peter Parker in SOCOM 4. So what we decided instead is to really focus on the skill-based aspect of the game, make sure that you're able to locate and take out enemies on your own without any help. So that's not in there, but you will get the appropriate reactions from AI in single player.
As something that's a little bit on the same sort of subject is with confrontation. One thing that people were saying was if you walk up to a railing or a small wall in that game, your gun would go down automatically, and so you weren't able to shoot through railings or anything because you'd be up against the object basically. And I know people have written on the forums asking if that would be the case in SOCOM 4, and it is not. You can shoot over small walls, and your gun doesn't automatically get dropped down. So. Yeah, you can shoot through railing. I just did it the other day.
Bonus tidbit from
there
Chris
you go.
Roper.
Bonus.
Thank you. E36_S52. Do we have a bingo? Wants to know if we'll be able to play with the classic SOCOM controller layout as an option. For example, can we use the directional pad to zoom, etc.?
The answer is TBD. We're basically in the part of development where we're playing the game and doing a lot of things like that. And basically, when we get kind of closer to the end and everything's set and all that, then we'll explore different control options. So right now, it would be cool to have that, and we'll kind of see how it fits in with the buttons that are required for SOCOM 4.
Yeah, there's a lot of specific commands in there, and we're doing some different control scheme approaches in this game compared to the last game. So. We don't know yet until we've worked out all the options, and so if we can do it, we can. But if not, sorry.
Yeah. I Ate Your Cat wants to know if Oracle is the replacement for HQ.
That's an interesting question, and one we're not actually going to answer this week, but we're going to answer it next week. Because next week our guest is going to be the returning Jeopardy champion, Seth Luisi, game director here at Zipper. And he actually wanted to take that question personally, so.
Well, there you go.
And we just talked about this in my office like 30 minutes ago. Like,
that's right.
Oh, he gave me this really long explanation about that, and I was like, well, we'll just put this on a podcast next week.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give this as a heads up to everyone. Seth will explain that to you in full next week.
Was that I hate my cat or I ate my cat?
I think it's I ate your cat. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because I don't know if you guys have been following the news, but there was a guy pulled over recently. It's made national headlines. There's a guy pulled over recently for speeding. A cop heard meowing when he was about to to write the ticket, and he opens his trunk, and he found a cat in the trunk marinating in red pepper and olive oil. The guy was going to eat the cat because he was angry at it.
He's marinating it while it was alive?
While it was alive in his trunk. Needless
With
to say,
the fur on.
Yeah, it was still alive.
Odd.
Yeah. Needless to say, the guy was arrested. The cat was saved. It's been adopted. It's fine now. But I don't know. I ate your cat. Reminded me of that, especially since that happened like this week. So
did we get this question a while ago? Perhaps it's the
no. This question was definitely this week.
Okay, so he's got an alibi,
right? So or maybe it's him from a cell. I don't know. Wolverine's Delta wants to know how characters will change based on region in the game. In the game, meaning SOCOM 4. For example, will the Australian SAS be wearing accurate AU camo?
Right. So as a small bit of background on this, as we mentioned before, the release in different territories will have different people kind of filling in for the SEALs, and they'll kind of go in as region-specific stuff. The idea is to make it as authentic as possible. However, SOCOM 4 is, as you've seen, a very cinematic game, so you can't just swap everything because it's kind of still got to fit in there. But where possible, you'll get things like stuff from helmets and localized VO and some camo changes and things like that. There will be limitations because it's a video game and we have limited time and all that. But it will be kind of changed as much as possible to be region specific.
So if you're in Australia and your guys are from Australia in the game, then yes, they will have some limited representations of that. But we'll have more on that closer to the game's release.
Right.
And that's it for our SOCOM 4 questions. Since we have a MAG guy on this week, we don't have as many S4 questions as we do MAG.
Yeah.
Thanks for assisting us on that one, Kurt.
Anytime. You just let me know when to jump in.
You can jump in right now. The first question comes from Scott Loves Katie.
These are MAG questions.
Right. Who wants to know if MAG will continue to be developed for after the release of SOCOM 4 next year?
We're constantly evaluating our support for MAG, and what we would like to do is keep supporting it as long as we have the player base and our community is still into it, and we have the support from Sony. We want to keep going. So I'd like to say yeah, but it depends on it's a constant.
It depends.
Yeah.
Kenny ER 1010 wants to know what the latest news is on MAG's Clan Wars, Kurt.
We are implementing the first part of Clan Wars very soon.
Clan Deploy.
Called Clan Deploy, exactly. So that's something that we can look forward to.
With more information soon.
More information coming soon.
Possibly later in the podcast.
Viraj
it's
Jr.
It's V. Rivas Jr.
Good. Wants to know if we can expect additional modifications to maps other than the Alyeska Terminus and Flores Basin post from or after MAG 1.07.
Post MAG 107.
That's where I'm reading off the paper and
Chris needs sleep, everyone.
I really do need sleep.
I could use some of that too.
Yeah. It's been a crazy week.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're working on Absheron Refinery right now, which is the Sever 256 map. Elk Bay Logistics and Aralcom Mechanical, which are both 128-player maps. And those people will be seeing in the very near future.
Do we have a rough estimate as to how long it will be before those will be ready? Are we looking at a month, possibly longer than a month?
Before it actually goes live, you're talking, what is this, August? It's
August 13th,
just a little over a month.
A little over a month.
Yeah.
So you'll be seeing it sometime in September, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Viper Sweden wants to know if there'll be new environments for MAG's upcoming 3 PMC mode outside of those we've seen in the current theme for existing maps.
Yeah, actually, the 3 PMC maps, they kind of have their own look to them. They're a little different from the ones that we've been coming out so far. We're trying to use more terrain as cover and not so much having buildings and structures as the main cover points, and so I think people will be pleasantly surprised at the difference in these new maps.
I would say some of them are actually drastically different.
Yeah,
than the other ones. And we can't talk so vaguely anymore. We've got to tell people that next week you're going to hear some big announcements from MAG, right?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
I just did.
You
just
wow.
back me up.
Oh my
on
God,
it.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So we'll have actually really big news next week.
Right. Fingers crossed.
No, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Next week, big news.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And to expand on the thing about the theme, though, I think that these new maps look really cool. They are. You can look at them as a single image and kind of get that they are very different in theme than what's out there.
First time you see them, you'll realize, oh wow, these are different.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It's pretty awesome. Cyanide writes in and wants to know if we can expect additional maps to supplement the current game modes in the future of MAG, or will all new maps be attached to a new game mode? AKA, might suppression be expanded to a domination map or however? Or will they always
more
be
specifically,
new content?
are we going to see a fourth suppression map somewhere down the line, or a fourth sabotage map?
Yeah.
Things like that.
So that's something that we're constantly evaluating, and it's that there's nothing currently in the works, but we're certainly there's always more to come. So it's actually easier to make new maps of the existing game types, and so in future patches that might be something we're leaning towards.
But we don't like to do things the easy way, do we?
Well, no, we don't do that here at Zipper.
That's right.
Yeah.
We like to do things the hard way.
Terrans22 wants to know if we will ever get the ability to shoot smoke grenades out of MAG's grenade launcher attachment.
Ooh,
How awesome is that?
that's
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
We have this list of weapons that or potential weapons that is super long, and that is certainly on our list, as well as poison gas grenades and other types of grenades. So it's certainly not out of the realm. It's not in the works right at this very moment, but things could change real quick. So
definitely possible, but
definitely
just
possible.
not in the current one.
Yeah.
Guntang, who's submitted quite a few questions to us over the months, wants to know if there's a number one issue or feature you're currently concentrating on right now for MAG.
Yeah, number one issue would be our next release. It's going to be a real big one, and we're really looking forward to it. It's got a lot of stuff in it, so that would be our focus. And
when will we most likely hear about that?
Maybe next week.
Aha!
Doug JK.
Foreshadowing.
Doug, just kidding, wants to know if you can explain how MAG's happy hour works. This is what you were alluding to earlier. He wants to know if is it an active double experience? Does it only add up at the end if you haven't run out of time? If it's a ladder, what happens if you finish a game, get the XP, then play another but get disconnected, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of fine details he wants to know about here.
Yeah, happy hour. It's cool. It's a cool feature, and it's pretty simple, really. Basically, for your first hour of gameplay, for every 24-hour period, when you log in, you start your happy hour as soon as you start the first game, and for 1 hour, forever, however many games you can play, you're going to be doubling your experience. So if you start your last game before your hour runs out, even if your hour runs out during that game, you will still get the experience for that. So for the entire game. Mm-hmm. So you won't just suddenly get cut off and then, oh, nope, this one doesn't count.
Do you have to finish the game in order to get the bonus? Or if, let's say that you leave the game, maybe you have something happens personally, you have to leave the game early, you can't finish it. Will you still get the bonus? Or is it treated more like the rest of our bonuses, which are applied at the end of the game?
Yeah, it's applied at the end of the game.
So you must complete the game.
So you do need to complete the game.
Sweet.
Yep.
The replacement... Oh, one other thing before I get to the next question, actually. With the implementation of what 107 does, which is include the happy hour bonus and the ability to adjust specific experience by game queue, which means that we could give specific experience points based on the game mode you're playing, domination, acquisition, whatever. That means that we can probably expect, in sometime in the near future, specific experience bonuses for those modes, and likely a changed directive bonus as well. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely. We could have special play sessions where we might want to choose a particular game type, and we'll bump the XP in there, modify it in some way, and have everybody jump in for X amount of time, however long we want to open it. It's totally controllable, so we can do all kinds of fun things.
Right.
With
So,
it,
so instead of just having a double XP weekend that blanketly doubles the experience, you might say double domination weekend, where if you play domination, you get double XP.
Yep.
And even Kevin Butler's into the act. He tweeted this morning that he's going to be in acquisition today at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Right.
So,
everybody
go
jump
kill
in.
Kevin Butler.
Yeah. Do you know what his?
No idea.
No, I don't. I have no clue. He's keeping that part a secret.
He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to announce that.
There's a chance that who you kill, depending on what time you listen to this, was Kevin Butler or could be Kevin Butler.
Right.
It really depends. So
just kill everybody. because it could be him.
Kill everyone in sight.
Sure.
The replacement wants to know if there's a difference in the strengths of armor types between the 3 PMCs in the game. For example, does Sever's heavy armor afford more protection than its Raven and Valor counterparts?
There's a really easy answer to that. Nope. They are the same across the board. So all heavy armors are equivalent between all 3 PMCs, as are lights and mediums, everything. It's all... we didn't want to imbalance the game by giving one side, super armor while somebody else has to suffer through with something less. So we definitely went right across the board with all of them. So they're all the same.
The real strategy comes in on picking your weapons, because the weapons are the things that are completely unique from one another.
Weapons are more unique, and so that's definitely a way to go to enhance your character.
Several MAG fans has a very interesting question, I think, especially from a design aspect.
Yeah, we saw this show up several times on this week's thread.
Yeah, they want to know if we've ever considered capping the amount of weapons that people can select in a certain game. So let's say you're playing a game of domination. Would you ever limit it to be, say, 80 people only could have the light machine gun, and then 40 people could have a sniper rifle, to kind of intentionally influence the kind of matches that are going on, I guess? They basically want to keep it from being oversaturated with one weapon type.
Yeah, no, we haven't considered that. There are a few drawbacks with that. If you limit the number of weapons per game, then matchmaking issues start cropping up, because then you can only say, oh, well, there's these 1,000 guys in the queue. They're all, they all have a shotgun, but we can only take, X number of them. And then, that means somebody else who would have spun up a game didn't get into the game because they had the same gun that, the 80 other people already took. Mm-hmm. So we haven't really even thought about that. What we do try to do is it's a constant balancing act for weapons. So we're always trying to make the adjustments and make them well balanced in the game. And so when you guys see stuff that's if something's super overpowered, just keep letting us know.
Like my arms.
Yes, like Jeremy's arms.
Mad Fireball wants to know if mag group sizes are ever going to increase.
That's something that we're still working on, and we're talking about within Zipper. And if we do it, it's going to be something you see in a future patch.
If you're trying to get larger groups to play with your clan members, for instance, maybe there'll be information. Let's go on to the next question.
No, they're gonna be.
Captain Tom says that he loves Convoy in SOCOM Combined Assault. And what are the chances of getting Convoy ported over to MAG?
I loved Convoy too. That was fun. That's an interesting question. I don't know. We haven't, honestly. That's not a particular game type that we have discussed. I can certainly bring it up with the design team, and we can hash it out. Because it is a fun one. So currently we don't have plans for it, but things change all the time here at Zipper, so you never know.
That's right. Rampiro, coming back to another Clan Deploy question, wants to know if Clan Deploy will work for all maps and modes.
Yes, it will. You'll be able to deploy into any game type. The only limitation will be directives queue. You won't be able to jump into directives, but you can choose any queue directly, and it will work with any downloadable content. So for interdiction, the caveat being that you'll only be able to get your clanmates into an interdiction game if they actually have interdiction. So they have to purchase the DLC. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah.
Sweet.
That brings us to the end of the Q&A session. So I guess it's time for the zip tip.
So for those of you that are not familiar with the zip tip, if this is your first episode, why? Yes, I'm reusing a joke. The zip tip is our weekly attempt at our
attempt being the keyword.
Yeah, attempt at imparting some kind of wisdom from our guest. This could be anything. This could be a tip on how to have a better life, how to be better at our particular game that we're making, or it could be something as simple as where to get some coupons to get some money off of something.
The only rule is that you cannot say play MAG as a team.
Right,
that happened the first 50 episodes of the show. That haven't happened.
We haven't even had 50 episodes
yet. That's a great
zip
tip, though.
It is a good one.
It was.
But we repeat that rule every week, so everybody still hears it.
I think they probably get that at this point.
Probably,
Because-
I think so.
Because typically, well, I don't think so. Because
Really?
until we say that, people are like, "Really? Oh, hold on."
Yeah.
Like someone to my
No,
right.
no, no. I mean the listeners.
Oh, okay. Well,
That
they,
yeah,
know.
that's
They
what
know.
Bad
They know.
Magazine,
They
yeah.
absolutely know.
I'm trying to think if I have any good tips for people. Any, thinking about life tips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. Make sure you listen to a lot of good music. I think that's key.
It calms
Yeah.
the soul, I think.
It does.
does.
It does. It relaxes a person and
Mhm.
keeps them on a even keel.
So there you go. Listen to music. My bonus zip tip for the week, since we're doing some easy stuff, is to breathe. Remember to breathe. Without
Yeah.
breath, you're dead.
That's all right. That brings us to the end of the show. As always, you can find us on your favorite social networks, such as Twitter. You can go to twitter.com/Zipper, or you can find us on Facebook, either under Zipper Interactive, or you can find a SOCOM page on there as well. Facebook.com/SOCOM, Facebook.com/Zipper Interactive.
It's a lot of slashes.
Yeah. And Friday the 13th, so it's appropriate.
Next week, as we
Oh.
mentioned earlier, our guest will be game director here at Zipper, Seth Luisi. He came on before. He's going to be back again because you guys demanded it. Plus, he has a lot to talk about since next week's going to be a big week for Mag. On top of that, if you want to ask him any questions, as always, you can go to the official forums that we post every single Monday on both the forums.socom.com and forums.mag.com. Just go to the Mag discussion section for each, and you can find the link there, or send us an email, as Chris has said, to Zipline at zipperint.com.
And just as kind of an added little thing to make sure that it gets up on the site on Monday, Seth promises that his profile will hit the thing, so you can see what his
That's
favorite
right.
games and stuff are.
That's right.
So
He got out of it last time.
yeah, but last time there was a lot of travel
by acting
involved.
surprised each time. It's like, hey, you have that profile ready? Huh? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
But we're going to get him to do it this week, we hope. Anyway, that's I think it for the week.
Yes, thank you very much, Kurt.
Hey, thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you coming on. I also appreciate your taste in music, which is great.
All right.
All right.
And until next week, we're out.